The object of Taxi Chronicles is to allow real riders with real stories share their experience and enhance your life. So sit back and enjoy the journey. Morning. Yes, we're back with another another rider. Today we're honoured to have a lady by the name of Sally, and she's talked about her experience in the Jehovah Witness Church, and it was so passionate and so true and so real. I thought I had to try and capture her on the interview because I believe we can all learn a lot about that, because the Jehovah Witnesses always knock on everybody's door, so everybody's bumped into them sometime or other in life. So nice to have you here today, Sally.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
That's good. So tell us, you were born into the Jehovah Witness Church?
Yes, I was born and raised up until the age of 12, and then I slowly started to fade out of the religion.
Why did you decide to fade out?
Well, my parents, when I was 12, went through a really messy divorce, and I grew up in an abusive household. So for us, when my parents did get divorced, my mom did lean on the religion a lot in order to help us leave that situation. And they did really, leave us out in the dark and abandon us a little bit and gave us no support. And that was, our entire social group and support system. So when that happened, my mom, slowly tried to get us kids out of that religion, and we stopped attending meetings and, started making friends outside of the religion and tried to branch out. And then we came back into it when I was 14, when my mom got remarried.
Can I just jump in there?
Mm-hmm.
You spoke about social groups.
Yeah.
Did you go to a Jehovah Witness school, or was it a school for everybody?
No, so I went to a public school. There was one or two Jehovah's Witness kids other than my sister and I. And, we weren't really allowed to make friends with the other kids. They're called worldly children or worldly people in the religion, and you are told to not make friends with them outside of school and just be friendly to them in school. But the religion encourages you to only be friends with Jehovah's Witnesses.
Did that make sense to you, and how did you manage that as a 12-year-old? Because I'm sure if you like somebody, you like somebody. It's about toys and what have you.
Yeah. Well, luckily my mom really encouraged us to make friends outside of school, and we were allowed to do certain things that other Jehovah's Witness kids weren't allowed to do. Like, we were allowed to do extracurricular activities, and we were allowed to, go to sleepovers with worldly kids, and a lot of our peers in the religion weren't allowed to do that. So that did help a lot, but you are told during church, as you guys would say, that you are superior in a way to all of your peers at school, because you know something that they don't know. You know that, what they believe Armageddon will come, and the world will be wiped out and we'll all live on paradise on earth forever. That's kind of what the main...
Rhetoric.
Yeah, exactly. So you kind of look at your peers and think, oh, I know more than you do. I know this truth that you don't know, and you are all going to die in Armageddon, and I'm going to survive because I love Jehovah. Yeah, that's what... But they're, spewing at every single meeting that you would go to.
When you were leaving, you said you went back when you were 14. When did you leave again, and why did you go back?
So we left, we left when I was 12. We started to fade out, we didn't attend. And then my mom got remarried. We were struggling a lot financially. She had to declare bankruptcy. And then when we got remarried, we moved into a different area of town. So it was under a different congregation. And the brothers in that congregation and the elders, which are kind of the governing body of that specific church that you would attend, they found out about it, and they called my mom and my stepdad in for a meeting, and they disfellowshipped them right on the spot because my mom had not had a scriptural divorce. So how the scriptural divorce works is you either would need to have the spouse, pass away in order to get remarried, or there would need to be some sort of infidelity, and then you would be able to be free to be remarried. And she didn't have any of that, or there was no proof of any of that, so she wasn't able to get remarried.
So she suspected, but she didn't have the proof.
Well, we did know that my dad cheated on my mom, but how it works is in the Bible, because it was, thousands of years ago, and everyone slept together in a house where there was multiple families, it was easy for there to be witnesses when there was any type of infidelity. So in the Bible, it says there needs to be, 2 or 3 witnesses when there is a case of infidelity, or even a case of rape or molestation. They have the same rules. There needs to be 2 or 3 witnesses to that, which makes absolutely no sense in the modern day world because everything's behind closed doors. So yeah, she wasn't able to have a scriptural divorce, and because of that, she got disfellowshipped. And then we were shunned by the church and all of the family members that we had that were in the church for a year. And in order to get reinstated into the religion, so we were able to talk to our family members again and our friends. And for my stepdad, it was his whole work, because he hired Jehovah's Witnesses and he played hockey with Jehovah's Witnesses. Everybody in his social group were Jehovah's Witnesses. So for him, it was, his whole life, and they wanted to be able to speak to those people again. So we attended every single meeting, and we would sit at the back of the hall and not speak to anybody, and then at the end we would leave, and we weren't allowed to talk to anybody, so we would just sit there quietly and listen and then leave. And then we did that twice a week for a year, and then they were happy and said that we seemed remorseful, so they would reinstate my parents. And then the day we got reinstated, we never went back, because we just decided that we weren't going to be a part of a system that breaks families apart like that.
Do you still talk to your family, your extended family today?
Yes, I still talk to my family. Luckily, my family, have been through quite a lot of outside trauma that has nothing to do with the religion. So we're very close, and they all, immigrated to a new country with us. And, that allowed us to be very close as well. So luckily for me, my experience wasn't as bad as a lot of people who, just go out on their own and they have no support system. Yeah, luckily my mom's side of the family did come for us for support, and my dad's side of the family aren't in the religion at all. My dad joined later in life.
Oh, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, just to clarify some points there, was everybody you knew in that whole village or town, wherever it was, were they all Jehovah's Witnesses?
No, so the town I grew up in is just like a regular town. There was lots of different religious groups in the town, and also, a lot of people are atheists. That's just the country I grew up in. It's, not as religious as most countries, but our social groups were all Jehovah's Witnesses, because that's what they just encourage.
Okay, wouldn't there have been any way of you guys just making new friends,
Mm-hmm.
new company when your mum left, when you guys left when you was 12?
Yes, there's definitely a way. We would make new friends at school. My sister and I are quite social, so for us it wasn't as difficult because we did have, lots of friend groups outside of the religion. For my mom, she had absolutely no friends outside of the religion. She was born and raised in it. Everybody she spoke to was a Jehovah's Witness. The only people that weren't were our friends' parents. But at the same time, you do have friends that are worldly, but you view them, when you're still in that religious mindset, as people that are below you because you just know more than them. So it's not an authentic friendship that you have with these people until you actually leave the religion, until you allow yourself to, view yourself as being on the same level as, everybody else.
Okay. What have you learned from that experience overall that you wish you knew before you had started?
I mean, it's hard to say because I was born into that mindset. So I don't think I would have been able to change my situation at all, but I'm really grateful to have, you learn certain things, like different moral values that I still, stick with me to this day. But I just think that leaving the religion, it's definitely allowed me to, not view myself as superior to anybody else and, see situations in a different light and be more critical when meeting new people and not just taking everything at face value. And it's definitely allowed me to kind of see through all the bullshit sometimes, especially with organized religious groups or even with governments.
What do you consider yourself now? Atheist, a believer? Do you just believe in God in general?
I think I'm agnostic. I think that's what it is, where, you can't prove that there's a creator, but you aren't completely opposed to it.
Okay.
But it's just something that doesn't affect my everyday life, and I'm not going to impose my beliefs on anybody else.
What would be your word of advice to anybody who's considering becoming a Jehovah's Witness?
I would definitely say any type of organized religion, you should really know who you are as a person before going into something like that, and not expecting it to just save you, because they do really prey on people who have no support systems, who are in an emotionally unstable place, people who are fearful and are looking for answers, and they kind of take that and they create a little world for you where you feel safe and you feel like you know all the answers to everything and you have people that love you. But I definitely think if you go into it, I'm not recommending it to anybody, but if that's something that you're interested in and you think it aligns with your values and beliefs, then just make sure you actually read the Bible with an open mind, and you don't allow people to tell you things, and you use critical thinking when needed, and you don't allow people to make themselves your only support system. Like, make sure you're still independent and that you can take care of yourself if ever you need to leave.
So that make sure you're in a position that you can leave anytime.
Yeah, and that you keep a support system outside of the religion.
Do you think it's a must to marry somebody from the church if they're going into the church?
It's highly encouraged by the elders and the governing body to marry somebody in the religion. You are allowed to marry somebody outside of the religion, but it's highly looked down upon, and you aren't allowed to, you technically are allowed to, have certain social groups in the religion. They're not going to say you can't do certain things, but it's kind of like an underlying, you're not supposed to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know that you're going to bring shame upon yourself and your family if you do that. But you are allowed to.
Okay, that's good. Well, you've been a great guest.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You've had lots to say. I've learned a lot and insight about Jehovah religion. I will ask this question. What do Jehovah Witnesses overall believe?
Yeah, well, they believe that Jesus is Jehovah's son, and Jehovah is our Heavenly Father, and that, we were put on this earth to spread the news about Jehovah so that when Armageddon happens, which is kind of the great tribulation of earth, we will be the ones to survive because we love Jehovah, and then we'll live on earth in a paradise for the rest of time. So we'll live without aging, there'll be no sickness, there'll be no death, all of our loved ones will come back, and then there's 144,000 people that will go into heaven and rule over us with Jehovah. And that's kind of the main belief system, the core belief system of Jehovah's Witnesses. And that's what really draws people in, because it gives them a hope for the future, especially when, times are so difficult for most people right now. But yeah, it just really gives you a hope for the future.
Okay. Would you marry a Jehovah's Witness?
Absolutely not. I do not want that to have anything to do with my life anymore. I think that for myself, I would like to keep the religion as far away from my personal life as possible. I'll still speak to Jehovah's Witnesses. I'm still friendly with them. I wish them all the best in life, and I have no ill will. I think that they're wonderful people. I just think some of them are quite misled and ignorant, and the ones who do know what's going on in the religion, I think that they've just been brainwashed to think that way, and they don't really have the critical thinking skills that most people do, that have, gone to university and spoken to people outside of their own groups to be able to see any differently.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks a lot for that, and we wish you well.
Thank you.
And to the audience out there, I hope that was very informed and you learned a lot from Sally and her experience growing up in the Jehovah's Witness Church. And it's always good to be informed before you make a decision. And I wish you well. We hope that episode enhanced your life. We post an interview every day, as well as vlogging on our social media channel. Don't forget to subscribe to get our latest episode.